for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur.
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the spot!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together they worked a young team to the top. And now a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro, the Sick Podcast on this Monday, May 26th. Thanks for watching on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. The Sick Podcast is brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. Also brought to you in part by Playground. If you're looking for the ultimate entertainment destination, Playground is your ticket to nonstop thrills. Experience heart-pumping gaming action, a world-class poker experience. Playground is a 2025 winner of Fan Choice, Best Poker Room at the Global Poker Awards. Indulge your taste buds at their incredible restaurants. Then let loose with live music and electrifying DJs. Enjoy unmatched customer service just minutes from downtown Montreal, right across the Mercier Bridge. While settle for ordinary when you can have extraordinary at Playground. Only minutes from downtown, just over the Mercier Bridge again. Experience the strip without the trip. And brought to you by Bittt Tibi. They launched their new Ultra Lager. It's a refreshing, thirst-quenching beer, perfect for summer with only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% ABV per can, available in a pack of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province of Quebec. Ultra light, ultra refreshing. All right, okay. Yesterday, the Sick Podcast, we were invited at the Sports Celebrity Evening, which took place at the Gelber Conference Center. And the Cummings Center Foundation has had a fundraiser going that used to be the Sports Celebrity Breakfast. It's been running for over 20 years, and I've attended it on several occasions. Now, yesterday's event, which was the first of their Sports Celebrity Evenings, more of a 5 cassette, and it will be like that for years to come, was honoring former Montreal Canadiens goaltender. Well, I still think you could say, you could probably still say Canadiens goaltender because, he is not retired yet, Carey Price. And we were made no promises in terms of talking to Carey because we were told that Carey had a very, very busy agenda. And there were 420 people or so at that event, and everyone wanted Carey Price's autograph. Everyone wanted a picture with Carey Price. He was extremely solicited. And so we didn't know if we were going to have any time with him. But once I saw Carey, he was walking towards me. I was walking towards him. And he said, "Hi, Tony." I said, "Carey, it's nice to see you." I said, "You're looking great." He said, "Thank you. What are you up to?" And I told him, and I said, "What are you up to?" And he told me, and it's going to be going to Maine, as a matter of fact, and playing in Carl Alsner's softball tournament. And I said to him, I said, "Carey, I got good news and I got bad news for you." He said, "What's the bad?" I said, "Well, the bad is that I'm here and I'm going to podcast. And so I want you to come on with me." He said, "What's the good news?" I said, "The good news is that you haven't done interviews in a while. So I guess it's okay." And he looked at me and he said, "I'll make time for you." And once again, he was so busy. And at one point it looked like it wasn't going to happen. But he actually came over from the totally opposite end of the building, came over to see me. And I got about 8 minutes with him. And you know what? I figured, you know what? I'll take 8 minutes over nothing with Carey Price any day of the week and twice on Sundays. So we did that. So without further ado, here's what the show is going to look like. Mike Wagan, one of the chairs of the event, followed by Carey Price, and ending with former Montreal Canadiens player, GM, and coach Bob Gainey. Here's Mike Wagan.
Mike Wagan, how are you?
I'm well, Tony. Thank you. Nice to see you, and
Nice to
thank
see you
you
too.
for being with us again.
You're very welcome. We're very happy to be here. The Sick Podcast. It's such a great cause. And before we talk to you about Mathieu Darche, which I know is something that you're extremely pleased and happy about because you played a big role in it. Before I talk to you about that, I want to talk to you about your implication with this event. How long have you been involved in this event? How did this event come about? If you can talk to us about the history of this event.
This is the 21st year, but really it's the first year that we're having an evening format. It was a breakfast for the first 20 years. And I kind of feel like you've been on the committee for most of those years. You've been here with us all along, so I want to thank you for all the help you have given us over those years. After the pandemic and after last year, we met and we decided to change the format of the event to more of a 5 cassette for a whole host of reasons. It's easier to attract guests. It's less... it doesn't interfere as much, and there's many things we could do with a 5 cassette type of venue as opposed to the constraints the breakfast had. So it's our first year, and so far it's so good, and I hope it's going to be a great event. And the other thing we're doing is when the event originally started, it had a host of celebrities from the community, and basically we used to have a pretty long event and an awful lot of interviews, and we're trying to make it a little bit more short, sweet, succinct, with more premier type of guests to join and be part of it.
That's awesome stuff. What are we raising money for?
We're raising money for this center, which is attached. It's the Cummings Center, and the Cummings Center is the largest senior center in Canada, probably in North America, but I'm not sure about that. We have over 7,500 seniors that use this center. There's over 1,000 volunteers in addition to a very large staff. And basically the center has numerous programs for the seniors as they get old, and arts, education, and it's just like a second home to many people who, once they give up their business card, and they take up all kinds of activities that they never had a chance to do. And the second activity in the center, which is the one this event was originally driven for, is to deal with seniors in crisis. Most people don't realize that over a third of the Montreal senior community lives in poverty. And they run into all kinds of challenges in their daily lives. Things that, and although we're lucky we live in a country like Canada that does have a lot of social support, it just doesn't cover everything. So these monies are not put in the bank for the foundation. They're delivered annually to the center to increase their ability to help that specific sector under the Seniors in Crisis banner.
Amazing stuff. How much money has been raised to date, if you have an idea of that
I do,
amount?
Actually,
and who are some of the people you'd like to
stealing my
thank?
thunder on my speech.
Okay.
We're over the $5 billion mark at this point, and what's the first, I would say, 10-15 years were a hard grind to get. It was a breakfast, but in the last 5 years we've raised pretty much half of that money. So I'm hoping in the next 20 years that will be $10-15 million.
Congratulations. Hey, that's unbelievable. Who are some of the people you like to thank? Because every time you have an event, you try and raise money. Obviously, there's individual tickets that are sold, and we want to thank everyone. But there's some huge corporate sponsors that step up, I would imagine.
And one of the really things we're most proud of is that most of those sponsors, although this year there's a whole new group because of some excellent work that was done by our committee, but most of them have been here through the entire curve of this event, and they support the not only the event but the cause year over year. Some of them for 20 years, some for 15 years, and it's almost like a legacy type of ask that really is quite easy because we never get a no really. So that's very rewarding for us. I think people in the community understand the importance of this center. And also in the last decade or so, this center has become more multicultural, more diversified, and it really supports the entire Montreal community today. So it's getting a broad range of subsidies and government support that it also never saw. So all these things put together, looks like they have bright days ahead.
The Sports Celebrity Evening this year is honoring
former Montreal Canadiens goaltender Carey Price. I mean, that's a home run. You hit that one out of the park. How'd you get that done, huh?
Well, year one, we wanted to do something that was, again, this breakfast has had many celebrities from the community. Carey was obviously, he's a superstar. I think that his legend will only be known after he retires and after he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
To the main, because his career is over, but it's still kind of in limbo.
Yeah, and you did get to bring it up because he has not formally, officially retired.
Right. So he's still part of the team officially, but at the end of the day, he is a superstar, and he's the most winningest goalie in Canadian history, and that's pretty impressive considering some of the goalies we've had.
The New York Islanders general manager, who was appointed a couple of days ago, Mathieu Darche, used to work for you. To see him as the new general manager of the New York Islanders, you must be beyond elated. Talk to me about your first encounters with Mathieu, and the work you guys did together, and the fact that you see him now as the GM of the Islanders.
Yeah, well, I met Mathieu at this event. Mathieu was newly retired, and Mathieu was unique in that he was very motivated by management and business. He had graduated McGill. His family, his mother was an educator. His brother, as you know, played in the NFL and became a doctor when he retired. And I was very hesitant to hire a hockey player, but at the end of the day, what I remember most of what made me hire Mathieu was he said he played in 10 different cities in 5 different countries over 10 years, and he just wanted stability for his wife and kids. And he just was a solid person. So we hired him. Well, I guess we trained him quite well because Julian Brisbaugh decided to steal him. But Mathieu had a lot of opportunities to do different things in hockey. TVA offered him a contract for double the money he was making with us at the time. He had no interest in broadcasting, had no interest in coaching, had no interest in scouting, but hockey management was in his blood. And when he fundamentally got that opportunity, you just had to let him go take it. It wasn't about money. He would never have been whole if he didn't. And I remember the day when he came in, he was I think he was in tears when he resigned. And I said, the only thing, Mathieu, that would disappoint me is if you're not a general manager in the next 5 years. And guess what? 5 years, he did it. So, yeah, I'm very, very proud of him. And Mathieu is the type of person that actually stays in touch, not just with me on a regular basis, but many of his colleagues in our organization. And he's such a great people person. And one-on-one, he's a magnet. So I think he's going to do great. I think under Julian's mentorship, he's learned a lot about what he needs to know about the business in hockey. I know he knows hockey. And at the end of the day, his people skills, I think those are 3 powerful value propositions that I believe he's going to leave a lot of general managers in the dust, and he's going to be very successful.
Wow, amazing stuff. Mike Wagan, thank you very much. The Sports Celebrity Evening tonight honoring Carey Price. I'm Marinaro. It is the Sick Podcast, and it's great to see Carey again. How are you?
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
You look unbelievable.
Thanks.
Yeah, you look, you know what? You look really good. You look like you could still play, but I would imagine you hear that a lot, huh?
Well, I still feel like I could go out there and play, to be honest. And I feel like I've taken pretty good care of myself on a day-to-day level. But in the back of my mind, I know that I don't have an NHL caliber knee anymore. So
yeah.
But that being said, like day-to-day life, I feel pretty good.
I talked to Paul Byron a couple of minutes ago, and I said, Paul, Carey Price played his last game on April 29 of 2022. It's more than 3 years later. It seems like it was yesterday. What does it seem like to you? Does it seem like it was yesterday, or does it seem like it was more than 3 years?
It feels like a long time ago, and it also feels like it was yesterday at the same time. I don't know how to explain it, but definitely, this time of year, you really start to miss playing.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine you followed the season, right? And the Canadiens had Samuel Montembeault, who played over 60 games for the first time in his career, and was one of the big reasons that the Montreal Canadiens made the playoffs. And of course, it was a team thing. They all got in together. But your thoughts on the Canadiens goalies that you saw during the year, and notably Montembeault, who played more than 60?
Yeah, Sam played really well. I came here for the Four Nations Cup, and watch that. And it seemed like they really started to gain some momentum after that tournament. And, Sam was a huge part of that. And I've watched Sam play live, only a handful of times. And every time I watch him, he always impresses me.
Laval Rocket are going to the next round, and they got through Rochester in 5 games. And there's a lot of, everyone's saying that Jacob Fowler is one day going to be the next one. And it's a lot of pressure on a young goalie. And you would know what that means, pressure on a young goalie. And, of course, you were back with Hamilton back in the day in the American Hockey League and Calder Cup winner. And you were unbelievable in that playoff run. Is there any advice you can give to a kid like Fowler and how do you feel about all the pressure that comes with it? Like everyone in hockey, not only in Montreal, everyone's saying he's the next one.
Yeah, I think, I feel like, talking about feeling like yesterday, it feels like I was just in Rochester because we played them in the first round of that playoffs run. And, I remember when I was his age, I was 19 at the time.
Yeah.
Signed my first pro contract and go to Hamilton not really knowing what to expect and getting thrown in there, and I was just thinking, man, this is awesome.
Yeah.
I get to play pro hockey, get to live my life and live out my dreams. So I think when I think of a young goaltender like that, I think when I was young, I think I had the right mindset at a younger age. What a great time to be alive. You get such a great opportunity to go play for a great organization, and then I was just always looking forward to what was coming next. I wasn't trying to think about all the external pressures because being a goaltender, you put enough pressure on yourself to perform. So I would just say, just enjoy the journey because, man, I wish I could do that again.
Yeah. After your last game and after Weber's last game and after making it to the Stanley Cup final, of course, in 2021, after that, the Canadiens went on a rebuild and some changes were made within the organization. And Jeff Gordon came in and he brought in Kent Hughes and he brought in Marty St. Louis, and they said, we're going to do a rebuild. 3.5 years into the rebuild, the Canadiens make the playoffs. Isn't that an amazing story? Like, there's some organizations that are in a rebuild 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, 14 years, 3.5 years, they make it in. It's pretty cool, huh?
Very cool. Very excited for the players because I know there's a handful of players that were still on the team that went to the finals.
Yeah.
And then you go through a couple of years where you're not playing meaningful hockey.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's a tough mental grind when you're playing throughout a season knowing that you're not going to make the playoffs, but I got the opportunity to go watch some of the guys play in Vancouver.
Yeah.
And I went down and visited with them for a bit, and I could see it in their faces that they were just excited to play meaningful hockey. And, that's why you play the game. You play the game to have the chance to go to the playoffs and win a Stanley Cup. So I was very excited for those guys this year.
You said to me, I'm feeling good, but I'm obviously not NHL caliber anymore. Jonathan Toews took some time away from hockey. It's been about 2 years now. And he says, he went to India and he had some holistic approaches and he did some real great things for his mind and for his body. And he'd like to give it a go and he'd like to come back. Have you ever put on the skates again after with your friends, anything, a game of pickup, anything?
Yeah, I've put on skates before. Like skating around, actually, I feel like is a fairly low impact form of exercise on my knee, but it wasn't the skating around that was the hard part. It was the, reverse VH, the goaltending, the torquing on it that was always the problem. Because as soon as I started doing that, my knee would swell to a point where I just couldn't play goal properly.
I know that, you're going to be very much in demand here, so you probably got to, if you can just give me a couple of minutes. The Maple Leafs lost Game 7 again at home. Lost Game 5 and Game 7 big by a score of 6-1 to Florida. And after that game, Brad Marchand, Matthew Tkachuk, and head coach Paul Maurice of the Florida Panthers talked about how much pressure there's on the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it can't be easy dealing with all that pressure and all those expectations. You played in the pressure cooker that was Montreal, and probably nobody had more pressure than you. You were the goalie of the Montreal Canadiens, who have a history of unbelievable goaltenders. When you hear Marchand, Tkachuk, and Maurice say all this pressure on Toronto, it's really hard for them to deal with that and probably unfair. There's validity to that because some players are fueled by the pressure and others can find it suffocating. I guess both are true?
Yeah, I would say you hit it right on the head. I feel like as a hockey player, you kind of want to play in the high-pressure situations because that means you're playing meaningful hockey, right? It kind of leads back to making the playoffs and playing in meaningful games. But, I think it takes a certain type of individual to really want to do that. You might have to be a little bit of an adrenaline junkie or something. But, I think I think you have to have the right type of mentality going into those types of situations.
Last question for you. A lot of fans still talk about Carey Price. You know how loved you were here and still are here. And the discussion comes up every now and then, Carey Price, jersey, retirement. What would it mean to you if one day your number 31 was up in the rafters with all those greats?
Well, I think every player who's played a long time, dreams of a moment like that. But, people ask me, what are you most proud of throughout your NHL career? And I always answer the same way. It was to be the Montreal Canadiens goaltender for 15 years. And to do that is more than a big enough honor for me.
Look at that gentleman right over there, Bob Gainey. He's the one who was a big part of you being drafted. Pretty cool, huh?
Very cool, yeah. It's good to see Bob. I haven't seen him for a couple of years. It's always good to say hi.
Nice to see you, Carey.
Good to see you, too.
I'm happy to see you. Thank you so much. Carey Price of the Montreal Canadiens, number 31. And one gentleman who knows a thing or two about Carey Price is Bob Gainey, Montreal Canadiens player, Montreal Canadiens coach, Montreal Canadiens GM, all once upon a time. Those are three very important hats to wear.
Well, there was a time when I wore two of them at the same time, and it was usually during a time of trauma when the coach who was there had left. But most of my coaching was done when I was with the North Stars and with the Dallas Stars. And I guess I pinch hit for a couple of times here in Montreal. But likely my best time was my playing years. And we did have a couple of teams that were pretty competitive during the time I was in the manager seat.
Who do you think feels more pressure, the GM of the Montreal Canadiens or the coach of the Montreal Canadiens?
I think day to day the coach feels more pressure. He gets a mark on his card every day that there's a game, and people keep track of that. As we see at the end of the season, there's a lot of coaches who are moving around to different teams. Where in the manager's position, there's just certain times of the year where you really need to be good. You need to hit it over the fence, or you miss your chance and it doesn't come around for another few months, where you could either draft a player or acquire a player, or in some fashion or some way improve your team on the board and on the ice.
Seeing as they're honoring Carey Price here tonight, I think it's really cool that you're here, Bob, because of course when he was drafted at 5th overall at 2005, you were the general manager of the Montreal Canadiens. Can you take me back to that draft and maybe everything that you were hearing about Carey at the time? And was, when you had that 5th pick, was it, there's no doubt about it, we are going with Carey Price?
Well, it's a pretty interesting draft, because we moved up in the draft because there was a lottery.
Correct.
And we had made the playoffs the year before, so our selection would have been somewhere around 14 or 15. But because of a labor dispute and the NHL decided to go with a lottery, so we moved up to number 5 pick. And I'm going to have a little difficulty remembering all the different players, but we had somebody ready to pick at number 5. And the Minnesota Wild were picking before us.
They picked Benoit Pouliot.
And they took Benoit Pouliot. That's who we had on our list. We ended up having him on our team later on.
Yes.
Surprisingly. So quickly, the way Trevor Timmins and his staff operated was they rated their players, and we had Benoit Pouliot. If he was there, he would have been our pick. He wasn't there. The next player was Carey Price. And there was a lot of speculation or discussion about whether picking a goalie was the right thing, but it was, for us, it was, those guys worked all year long to evaluate the players.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of nights and a lot of days discussing and debating who they thought was better than the guy behind him, and Carey's name was there, and so Carey was the player that we selected.
when you build a team to hopefully one day win the Stanley Cup, of course, there's so many important pieces to the puzzle. Pierre Maguire loves to talk about a 7-player profile that he and Scotty Bowman used to discuss. Centermen we've seen have become so important to a team's success, depth down the middle. Do you recall if also at that draft you were maybe looking at a centerman? I think Anze Kopitar was available at number 11. Was there a lot of discussion between center, goalie as well after?
Well, I do remember getting either an email or a letter from a fan who was pretty strong that we should have waited or we should have taken Kopitar. And today I can't really argue with him either because he's been one great player for one long time.
But a couple of Stanley Cups, good
yeah,
pick,
so I think the bottom line is there were a lot of good players in that draft.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate to move up to the position we were in, or we wouldn't have gotten Carey Price or Kopitar.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes you just have to take things the way they come.
In 2010, Yaroslav Halak had an unbelievable playoff, of course, and the Montreal Canadiens eliminated the Washington Capitals in Game 7. They eliminated the Pittsburgh Penguins in Game 7 after that before falling to Philadelphia in 5 games. And later on, a decision was taken that Yaroslav Halak was traded and Carey Price was the guy. Mm-hmm. For you, there was never any doubt that Carey Price was the guy to lead this organization going forward?
There wasn't for me. I mean, just his stature, his talent level. They were both good goalies. Yaro, he's been playing. He may have played last year.
Yeah.
So he's still going, and he did have a great playoff for us that year. But in fact, it was Pierre Gauthier who was in the driver's seat at that time and made that call. We discussed it, but that was his decision that St. Louis needed a goalie, and they wanted Price, but they got Halak.
There you have it. Jeff Molson said a couple of days ago that the word is out in the National Hockey League. The Montreal Canadiens treat their players well. The organization is doing the right things. Jeff Gordon, Kent Hughes, Marty St. Louis as coach. Players want to play here in free agency. You were once upon a time, once again, the general manager of the Montreal Canadiens. How difficult did you find at the time it was to attract players to Montreal? Because although Montreal is special, and you always talked about how special Montreal was and the fabric that was Montreal, it comes with a lot of media pressure, it comes with a lot of expectations, and it's not for everyone.
No, you're right. It's not for everyone, but the ones that it is right for, it's great for. That's the people who enjoy being in a special city where the sport and what they're doing is really concentrated on. They do well, and there's so many different reasons why a player selects to play when he has that opportunity, where the whole league is open to him, where he wants to go, where he wants to play. It isn't always about the most money. It isn't always about the climate. It isn't always about pressure. Like there's family. There's just travel. There's many reasons why players package together a decision, and some come to Montreal and some go other places.
When it comes to climate, when it comes to taxes, a lot of players choose either Florida or they choose Tampa. How do you feel about that, the fact that there are some cities that have a lower tax bracket and Montreal's at a disadvantage in that regard? Do you have any kind of solution to try and make it more of an even playing field for everyone come free agency?
Well, I don't have a solution, but I've heard that it's been brought up within the NHL to discuss it because, as you can see, Florida teams have been dominating.
Yeah.
And Texas teams have been dominating.
Correct.
And so there is a reason. Like you can't beat the sunshine, and you can't beat the tax rate.
Your thoughts on Jeff Molson saying, you know what, I think it's time, and especially in a market like Montreal, that the job is so demanding and so difficult that why don't we get 2 people to do the job? And that's the decision he took by hiring Jeff Gordon, who brought in Kent Hughes. Your thoughts on that?
Well, it was a trend that had started some time before. Someone like John Davidson was the president in St. Louis, and then I think Larry Plow was the manager.
I believe so, yes.
So, there were a few situations that it seemed to be a big overlap, and then there were others where Trevor Linden was the president in Vancouver, and I felt like his job was to manage up, and then the manager behind him, it was his job to manage down. And what I think is really, really strong about the situation in Montreal right now is the continuity between those important players, the president, the manager, the coach, is that I get the, I mean, I'm not on the inside, but I get the feeling they're all on the same page. They've all got their sleeves rolled up. They're in it together. And I think that makes for a really good working environment.
They're fun to watch, huh?
Yeah, no, they're an exciting team. They're a team that's on the come, and they still have a lot to learn. They're going to have to take some more bruises and bumps before they finally find out how good they can be. But I think the people have supported them tremendously, and I think they have some really great, exciting players.
Yeah. Bob, it's been a long time. It's so nice to see you. Thanks so much for coming by. You're coming off a knee replacement. Both, huh? At the same time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Out of all the injuries you've had in your career, where does this one rank?
Oh, this is the tops.
This is the tops, eh?
Yeah. I haven't had anything much. I really haven't had much surgery in my life, so this is a big one, and I'm a month out now, and I think I've got a couple more months ahead of me before I start to get nimble on my feet again. How's life after hockey for you? What are you doing?
It's been great. You know, I was involved in the NHL for about 40 years, and
you still miss it, or you say I've done my time?
Oh no, I don't miss it. Probably if I missed anything, it was when you leave playing. That's a hard transition to make.
Yeah.
But I'd had enough, and I'd kind of known that, like. I left playing kind of on my own decision, and I left coaching on my own decision. I sort of have a self-awareness of, like, this is enough. You're not going to be as good as you were. You're not going to be as productive, and move over, let somebody else go.
Bob Gainey, thank you very much.
And that was the Sick Podcast for tonight on this Monday night. I want to thank all of our sponsors, including Betway. Who's going to win the Stanley Cup? Go all the way with Betway and get a free bet up to $200. If your first bet loses, scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account and redeem your welcome offer. Offer is only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offers not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years of age and older. And please play responsibly. Mike Wagan, Carey Price, and Bob Gainey were not the only people that I had a chance to speak to. As a matter of fact, I also sat down with Stu Cowan of the Montreal Gazette, Mike Cohen of the Suburban, and former Montreal Canadiens Marco Scandella and Paul Byron. I'll bring you that podcast tomorrow night. Same time, same place, weeknights at 10 p.m. If you like the podcast tonight, leave us a 5-star review. It's our way of feeling the love. We'll talk to you again tomorrow night. Ciao for now.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. La Vida Tibi, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.